Thanks, Devaldis.
Yeah, Devaldis alcoholic. Grateful to be here. Grateful to be sober. Uh, Thank you, Maya. Thank you, Charlotte, for asking me to come out and share my experience, strength, and hope. Man, the dude said, man, he come out. He heard me share before, and he wants to come out and because he's looking forward to hearing from you. I hope I don't let you down. Bobby, Joe, Christina, Tony, Jimmy, Dana, Heather, Jeff, Suzanne, Tracy, Lisa, John. Welcome here for the first time. This is an awesome meeting. I attend this meeting regularly. Uh, Andrew, 28 days, Gail, 104 days, and John, 270 days. And the young lady that said she had 2 days. Welcome to the greatest show on earth. Your life would change if you wanted to. Uh, Adapt these principles, come all the way in, sit all the way down, and glue your butt to the seat and do some eye hustling and some ear hustling and apply these principles in all your affairs. And get a guy to your understanding and work the steps and all that other good stuff, right? So, uh, yeah, I don't normally get nervous, man, because I'm into thinking right now. I'm thinking about what I'm gonna say and how I'm gonna say it. And I guess I'm gonna start off by saying I got a sobriety date of November 28, 2018. I want to say I got 5 years, but my sponsor might be on here. He don't get no fronts. We don't get no fronts around here. Ain't no fast forwarding. So I got almost 5 years, right, of sobriety. And when I say that, I started to get emotional, emotional, because that's a miracle for me. Uh, I have our own group, Drunk Squad Double Speaker. Me, we meet every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Uh, I'm a speaker seeker on Friday. I chair a meeting on Saturday. I chair a meeting on Monday. I chair a meeting on Wednesday, and I chair a meeting on Thursday. So I'm in the solution. I'm inside this herd, and I'm doing this deal, and I can't see me doing it no other way because God brought me to it. God to bring me through it. So I show up and I suit up and I grow up through this process. Right? God is, and I got a sponsor, and he knows he's my sponsor. I just spoke with him a couple of days ago about some emotional turmoil, some emotional chaos that I've been placing myself unreservedly in, so I don't do this thing perfectly, right? And I got some other members that I can call. I got a herd, I got a tribe. Some of my tribe is here, and I love y'all. Thank y'all for y'all support. Uh, Let me have a moment of silence so the God up, so I can put my GPS of thinking on God, and He can lead me and guide me and shape me and mold me into what He wants me to be. God, I thank you for everything you've given me. I thank you for everything you've taken from me. And I thank you for everything you've left me. Thy will not mine be done. I thought he didn't leave me with nothing. I was left with all my own devices, right, when I came around here. But let me go back. Let me go back. Let me start from the beginning, man. I came up in a two-parent home. Since I got 50 minutes. 50 minutes? I got whole 50 minutes? Came up in a two-parent home, man. My mother and my dad, they were together until my mom deceased earlier this year, right? And in that house there was no drinking. My parents didn't drink, so I ain't come up in a household where there was drinking and drugging and none of that, right? My parents was workers. My dad was the worker. He was the provider. My mother was the housekeeper, and she watched the kids, right? She watched the kids, and my mom brought me up, and both of my parents were strict. You know what I'm saying? Both of my parents, they used my mom used the extension cord to punish. My dad used the belt, right? And they when I was disobedient, when I was hard headed, and they used to tell me I was hard headed, they used to beat me. They used to whoop me, and that's all they knew, right? Like, and I'm grateful for those beatings because without them beatings, I probably would have been worse off now. I probably would have. They gave me some type of discipline, and I don't condone the beating. I don't hit my kids. I discipline them in the right way. I talk to my oldest daughter in the right way. Like I don't gotta hit her, I ain't gotta yell at her, I ain't gotta that's all because of the program. But moving back to my family, I have three brothers and my mother taught me some things coming up, right? My mother used to say stuff like answer the door and tell them I'm not here, right? So I answer the door and say, my mother said she not here and she would whoop me. I was confused as a child. I was disturbed. I couldn't differentiate the truth from the false because I didn't know what I did wrong. I didn't know what I did wrong. And my dad used to say things like, I don't get mad, I get even. And he used to say, and when he used to punish me, he used to say, men don't cry. Crying is for girls. And I don't want to curse, but those are the choice words that he used, right? And he used to beat me. Get on your knees, beat me, right? And I used to didn't want to be there. I never wanted to be at home. I never wanted to stay there. Like in the first opportunity I got, I met a friend. And his mom she embraced me. She showed me something that I didn't have at home. Love, encouragement, support, right? Like my parents supported me financially. And that's where I got the fixed idea that if I do this for you, I love you. That's what my dad taught me my whole life. He never showed me, he never hugged me, he never kissed me, he never touched me, none of that. It was always discipline, do this, do that, right? My mom did the best she could. She used to try to hug me, but I didn't want it, right? Like I didn't want it because I was so fearful. I was so fearful of because I know she got that extension cord, right? So I feared my parents, right? And the first opportunity I got, my best friend, I used to call him my cousin, right? Like, I used to spend the nights over there. School nights. I used to go to school on the bus with him, and his mother loved me. And like I said, my parents, I had a two-parent home, and they looked at me like, you got a daddy. They looked at me like you got it, but if you only knew, right? If you only knew. So everybody in my relationships, all my friends, they didn't have a daddy. And I thought I was weird. I thought my parents I thought that was strange, right? Like I didn't understand why my dad had to be there. You can go, right? You can go. So I left. Uh, so I went to this trade school and I got good grades in school. I was an AB student. I wasn't the best, but I played basketball. First resentment, my dad took me off the basketball team cause I got a D in swimming because I ain't like swimming. I ain't like water. I ain't want to swim and go outside in the cold in the winter because I had swimming in the winter. I ain't want to do that. So I didn't go. And he took me out the basketball team. And honestly, I'm still a basketball star. Just for the record, anybody wants some, come get it. So I still play ball, like, and all that. But my first resentment, I didn't like my dad. I didn't like what he was doing to me. I didn't like his tactics. I couldn't watch TV as a child. He kept me from TV. Only thing I watched was news. Strict, strict, right? Went through high school, got good grades, hanging out with my best friend, went to trade school, went to auto mechanic school. I'm giving y'all my story, right? Like this is how this thing started. And the ism was there long before. The ism was there. My thinking was there long before because I used to be deceitful, dishonest. I used to be self-centered. It was all about me. All that stuff was there long before I took a drink, right? It was there. So, moved through high school, went to trade school, and my best friend, we hung out. We was like two peas in a pod. And one day his mother called me and said, Gerard had a bad accident. They don't think he gonna make it. Still to this day, like my man, that was my man's in them, right? Like, and we had some plans and you want to tell God you want God to let tell him your plans. I thought I had plans with this dude. We was building, we was future minded at a young age. and he passed away. Semi truck hit him head on, right? And it was one of them times where at the funeral, remember I told you my dad said men don't cry. That was one of the 3 times that I saw my dad cry because I'm always with him. I'm always there. I was always with Gerard, right? I was always there. And from that point, man, something felt missing, and I from that point, I felt like I needed something to fix me on the inside. I felt like I need something. It was a void missing, right? And then I in that trade school, right? Like I met some guys and they were smoking and drinking, and I was like, no, I don't want that. I don't want that. And they told me this one thing: it's gonna make you feel better. I bought into it. My first drink was a drunk. My last drink was a drunk, right? I found out that alcohol did for me quickly what the steps do for me slowly. It relieved me of the bondage itself. I can do everything better under the lash. Right. I can talk to girls now. I can dance. I can get on the dance floor. Right. Like, and I can be myself. I thought I was free until, and from that point on, I chased it. I chased the feeling. I chased how alcohol, cause I love the ease and comfort that comes at once from that first drink. And when I came around the program, y'all said some things to me that didn't make sense. Y'all told me it was the first one that gets you. That's dumb. It take me at least 3, 4, right? Like in my mind, I wasn't understanding the concept, right? Y'all told me, in order to keep you got to give it away. That don't make sense. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, right? But I kept coming back. And I ain't get to my first treatment until 2008, 2010. And that was in prison. So I went to prison, cause my alcoholism, I had to have it, and I did anything and I went anywhere to get this magical elixir. And I started selling drugs, right? I started selling drugs, and the drugs took me from a place to a place, right? And I was starting having money, and I was starting to get careless because I was drinking and selling, and I was selling and drinking, right? Like, and then one day the police rolled up on me, and I got caught, right? I got caught, and I went to prison. And in that prison sentence, right? Like I ran into a sponsor, and he said, "You did it wrong." You sold drugs wrong. This is how you should have been doing it. This is what you need to do. And I followed that to the letter, right? And guess what I got? I ended up back in the same place that the same person was trying to get out of. I went back there. So I did 6 years in prison, y'all. I did 6 years in prison, 3 years each. And it still didn't stop me. It still didn't stop me. I promised myself that second time in prison, I promised myself the whole 3 years that I wasn't going to drink, and I wasn't going to do the dry alcohol. And soon as I got out, I promised my mother, I ain't going to do it no more. I promised the girlfriend, I ain't going to do it no more. And soon as I got out, I got a bright idea. I'm going to just do one. I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna control. So when the whole time I was in that 3 years that I did the treatment in jail, I ain't hear nothing they said. I just was trying to get a time cut. I was doing it so I can get out of jail early, so I can do what I do. Right? Alcohol beat me to a state of reasonableness. Getting out of prison, I got some jobs, and I couldn't keep the job, and I come around here and I try to get the gift, and I can't keep the gift, and because I don't got the character to go with the gift. But God, I come around here and God gives me the character to go with it, to keep the gift, right? So I value my recovery. So I'm moving forward. I got a job. I got 16 months of recovery. I'm saving money, and I'm going to work, and I'm sober, and I'm living a life of sobriety the whole time. And I would come around the meetings and I would share my butt off and I would read the book and there was no change and I get a sponsor by name and I wouldn't work the steps and I go to different meetings and I get them pats on the back, them attaboys and I'm talking and not living, right? You can pay attention to the tongue in my mouth, but the tongue in my shoe, what is it doing? I was sitting still. I was stagnant. I was still the same person doing the same thing and I got the same results, right? For a long time. It wasn't until this time around, driving on the expressway, 70 miles an hour, I don't know, 70, 75 miles an hour, tire and rim come off my car. Instead of putting it back on my car, I put it inside my car. I had $10. I was going to cop, right? Like I'm going to cop. I put it inside by any means necessary, through any length, man. I'm gonna go get it because I got $10, right? And I counted my money and I know this is an Alcoholics Anonymous me, but I counted my money in bags. If I got $50, I got 6 bags. That's how I counted my money, right? Like and that led me to a place of defeat, hopelessness. I was a lone wolf. I was doing it by myself. I was living in my car and the unmanageability, I couldn't even see it. And I couldn't even see I was powerless, right? For a long time. The utter insanity, the other inability to see the truth. I couldn't even see the truth. I couldn't even handle the truth. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not like y'all. I made myself exception to the rule. Right. And I tried every imaginable remedy to stay sober on my own. Right. And it wasn't until this time. So driving on the expressway, tire rim, drive on my brakes, sparks everywhere, and my transmission shot from underneath my car. And something said, go back to treatment. And I know that was grace. And I know that was God speaking in me. Because deep down in every man, woman, and child is the fundamental idea of God. When I'm in trouble, I call on 2 people, Mama and God. And I called on God 2 days before that. So November 27th, my last debacle, my last fight with this thing, right? Like, and I ain't know that was going to be my last fight. And I did that thing and I went to go get that thing and I put it in me and it's one of them cold Chicago nights. And I said, why don't you go back to them places when them people were staying sober? And I did that. And I didn't know how I was going to get there. In Chicago, it's $2.50, sir. To get on a bus, I had to take a train and 2 buses and $2.50, sir. Grace. God is everything. God is nothing. I know God got me sober and I know God keeps me sober to this day. So I go into the train and I asked the lady, I said, can you please let me on? I'm trying to get some help. I'm suffering. I need to get the treatment. She said, go ahead, baby. I'm going to pray for you. Remember, I told you, fare is $2.50, sir. God opened up the Red Sea and allowed me to walk on dry land, right? And he got me to that destination that he wanted me to be at. Asked the next bus driver, but it's the 3rd bus driver for me. 3rd bus driver said, come on, little dog. I'm going to drop you right off in front of the place. Look at God. Grace and mercy. God had his hands on me long before I could realize that I was powerless. Step 2 showed up long before I admitted powerlessness. God been showing me the way all this time and I just couldn't grasp hold. I couldn't accept. I couldn't admit that I was an alcoholic. Step 1, I couldn't admit that. How can something with no arms and no legs control me? How can I be powerless over this thing? And every time I tried it, every countless vain attempts, I failed. I failed at being a drug dealer. I failed at being a drug user. I failed at everything that I did that I placed my hand to, I failed until I placed myself unreservedly in y'all care. Right? Went to treatment, 30 days. I tried to go to another facility. I thought I was going right to rehab. You said you got to do another 30 days. I said, what in order? I can't go through it. Kicking and screaming and scratching the whole way. I said, I don't want to do another 30 days to save my life. But I remember something came over me, and that flimsy reed showed up, and I was reminded that, remember you said you would go to any length to keep this thing this time? So I said yes. And I started saying yes. And I started saying yes to everything around recovery, right? Got a sponsor. Yes. Get a sponsor. Yes. Get a sponsor. Got a big book. Yes. Got a big book. And I started making a beginning on this thing, man. And I started meeting with my sponsor. First of all, I started making means till means make sense. And when means made sense, I started making means. I kept making means no matter what. And I used to shun when people say mean makers make it, but mean makers do make it at first. But it's some more work that's got to be done along with making the means, y'all. I gotta apply these 12 steps in my life. And I started working with my sponsor, and I started doing service work, and I started showing up early and leaving late at meetings, right? And I started doing this deal, and I seen y'all doing this deal, and I started doing what y'all was doing, and I started getting what y'all was getting. And I'm like, damn, I'm staying sober. Look at God, right? Like, and I'm counting days, and days turning into months, and months turning into, wow. Right? At some of these we bought. I thought I could find an easier, softer way. I made a beginning. I did 1, 2, 3, but I balked that step forward. I ran for my sponsor, and in the big book it says, we thrust out from here to do this 4th step, right? We rocket ourselves, right, to do this 4th step. But I balked, and I made one meeting too many. Right. And I ran from my sponsors. I owed him money and he was a drug dealer. Right. And I avoided him. I stopped making the meetings he was going to, and I made one meeting too many, a meeting that I knew he wasn't going to be at. Right. And I was feeling all the angst coming up of every time I resume. Notice I said resume, because I never made a beginning on change. Recovery is the act of changing my ideas, thinking, and behavior. I was the same man doing the same thing. If I don't change, I remain. I was trying to create new and healthy relationships with the same burnt wood from the past. It did not work. And I felt it. I was restless, irritable, and discontent without the drink, y'all. Without the drink. And God showed up. Grace. God is everything. God is nothing. And I ran up to my sponsor and I said, I'm ready. And I picked up that pen, y'all. Like, in step 1, I found out that's the problem. Step 2 was the solution. Y'all introduced me to the solution. I seen something working in y'all, and I wanted it. And I said, let me have this thing. Maybe, just maybe it'll work in my life. So I start doing this deal, and I come to step 3 and I make this decision, right? I make this covenant. Call it a covenant now. I made a decision to turn my will and my life, my thinking and my action over to the care. I didn't say over to God. I said over to the care, because I know in God's hands, I'm right in the palm of God's plan. Anytime I turn it over to his care, I'm safe and protected. Anytime I give it to God, I'm okay. And I picked up that pen, y'all. And I picked up that pen. God, do something with me. I don't know what you're going to do with me, but do it. I surrendered all. God, I gave myself away so God can use me wherever you see fit. And I started walking with my feet. I started living in my feet, and I started living in my head. And I don't do it perfectly, y'all. And I messed up, and I did that 4th step, and I didn't do it perfectly. Anything worth doing is worth doing poorly at first. And I did a 4th step though. Right? I did a 4th step, and I made that 5th right. Like, and I got down to the cause and the condition. I got armed with the facts, and I asked God to remove these things that's blocking me, that's keeping me in bondage, that's separating me from you. And I kept surrendering. 3, 7, and 11. I kept surrendering. The more I surrender, the more the grace of God can come in. And more grace of God come in, the more foundation I have on this, on life, right? So I wrote this list and I started making my amends and my amends with my parents were the two hardest amends that I made, right? And my dad, the same person that told me, men, don't cry. He told me, men, don't cry. This dude cried off of my amens, y'all. Said, just keep doing what you doing, son. He called me son. I made this amends with my mom, and I made this amends with my mom, and my mom said, "You've taken 10 years of my life. Now you've given them back. You've given me life back." So I continue through work. I continue to seek and I continue to do this thing, and I watch for these things that's cropping up, and I don't do it perfectly because I miss something, because I'm blind, because I'm blocked. I'm blocked by pump. I'm blocked by worldly clamors. I'm blocked by, because I started wanting, once my ego started kicking it back in, man, because I'm sober, I'm healthy, I'm in the gym, I got a job, ego start coming back in. Let go of your ego. I had to surrender again, y'all. I had to get out the way. And I'm learning to do this on a regular basis. And like I said, I don't do it perfectly. I do mess up. I make mistakes, and I make the same mistakes, but I grow through them one day at a time. One day at a time. This year has been the hardest year, y'all, for me. This year has been really trying for me. So in July last year, this lady called me up and said, "I need you to give a share." And I asked her when. She said Friday. I said, "Is it in person or on Zoom?" She said, "It's in person." I said, I'm in Dallas. I can't do it." She said, "We'll fly you out." So mind you, in June, my dad had a stroke, his first stroke. July, she asked me. Moving forward, I said yes to it. She said, this is what her words were. And it's a meeting that I used to go to, and I still go to, and I hear a lot of recovery. And and she said, "My speaker canceled. And I heard you give a share a couple of months ago, and you're the first person I thought about. Nothing but God." Look at God, y'all. God know what he's doing before I even know what to do for myself, right? He already got the plan. He already orchestrated, because I gave it over to him. I give myself away so God can use me, and God shows up. God shows up in my life. January, my mother got sick. I had to quit my job. I'm going to take that back. I got to quit my job to take care of my parents. Remember, I told you my dad had a stroke. My mother got sick. She went in the hospital for 2 months. My mother never made out the hospital. February 28th, my mother passed away. Where my 10 years that you said I gave back to you? Where my 10 years at? And I'm in my mess. I'm in my head. Where my 10 years, mama? Why you do this to me? God know better for me than I know what to know for myself. The plan is already aligned. I'm in my assignment. I'm doing what God want me to do, or have me to do, because I say yes. February 28th, my mother passed away. March 9th, I buried my mother. March 10th, that same lady that said, "I need you to give a lead" 8-9 months ago. March 10th, I'm standing in front of a podium in a conference with my guy, Terry, and Bill H, and sharing about how I'm going through, how to get through when I go through. Driving over the speed bus of life with this God. All things are possible, and I'm not confused about that today, y'all. God already had this thing lined up in my order, in his order for my will for me. The program of Alcoholics Anonymous has saved my life, has changed me, has transmuted me into a new way of living, man. Transformers, more than beast to I just think it's more than beast to I, right? So I give it away to God on a daily basis. I let go. I die to self. I surrender all. I commit suicide to my thinking. I continue to give myself to God, and God gives me back to y'all, and God gives me a assignment to do. Take care of my kids. Huh? Take care of my kids. Take care of my people. Carry a message. And when I take care of y'all, God takes care of me. I'm well taken care of, y'all. I'm well taken, even though sometimes it don't look like it. It don't look like it. These things that's in my life is working for my good, and it don't look like it. And sometimes it just don't feel good, right? It don't feel good. So moving forward, man, taking care of my dad. I was off work for 7 months. My dad is starting to get eager. I don't know. He's starting to flare back up. But during this time when my mom passed, I see my dad crying on a regular basis, right? So I had to talk to my sponsor, and I told him the narrative that my dad placed in me for so long. He said, well, what your dad said didn't have no truth to it. Just that simple. My dad was giving me what he was giving to him. And he placed that in me. And I believed it for a long time. When I first came around the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, I could not cry. Because every time I tried to cry, my mind snapped shut. Crying is for girls. Today, my life is so amazing. I got some amazing people in my life. I got some trudgers. I got some people that walk hand in hand with me in this thing, man. I got some members that I call, that God placed me around seekers and people with the solution. And I need to be right in the middle of that on a regular basis. I make a lot of memes, y'all. I make a lot of memes, and it's not for me to brag or boast on. I found out that God don't make too hard terms of those for those who seek him. And I found out that this is not a self-help program. It's a we help others get out the way and trust God program, right? I came from a place to a place. I came from a place of hopelessness to a place of hope. I came from a place of resentfulness to a place of forgiveness. I came from a place of defeated, a place of defiance to trusting and relying on his power. I came from a place of selfishness to a place of service, y'all. And I'm happy, joyous, and free. But the freedom of the bondage of self had to come first before I can reach this happy and joyous. And I'm not saying that I'm happy all the time and everything is also a peachy cream and it's rainbows and balloons, because life shows up, y'all. And when life shows up, y'all, look, when life shows up, I get out the way. And I don't do it. I don't get out the way sometimes all the time as fast as I should. But I don't do it as often, as much, as severe, right? I don't cause harm as often, as much, as severe. I do this thing to the best of my willingness. And when I get the pain, when the pain of holding on becomes greater than the fear of change, I will surely let go. And when I get the pain is the great convincer too. Alcohol is the great convincer. It beat me to a state of reason and motive. I don't want it no more. My drink problem is solved. And every time I come around here, I find out it's more me than you. Y'all ain't my problem. The world ain't my problem. I have some members in my life that pour into me, that speak into me, and this member, I love her, and she says, I gotta get rid of this self-centeredness with the dash and get my Sinner without the dash to the power. I try on a regular basis to keep myself centered without the dash. Today, what my life looked like this weekend, I cause harm, right? Like, and I could talk about this thing, and so the newcomer won't think that this thing is all good and everything. Once I stop drinking, everything gonna be okay. And once I stop drinking, ain't gonna be no problem. And once I stop drinking, I won't show up. Cause the ego. I got to continue to smash the ego. I got to continue to seek this power that relieves me of the bondage of Devaldis. Any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. I try to fix me with the problem and it don't work. So I got a little brother. He's a drunk. My little brother's a drunk. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to diagnose his ass as an alcoholic. Sorry for the lane. He is the alcoholic. And because I see I see what he does, and I've been around him, and I used to drink and drug with him, and he don't show up the way. He don't show up in a way that somebody who cares for a person, who loves a person, should show up the way I think. Right? That's the hit right there. I want my little brother to show up for my dad the way I show up. And I had to run that by my sponsor. Look, y'all, I'm in conscious contact with my sponsor because my sponsor is conscious contact with God, and God gives him the message to carry to me, right? Like, and I might not get it. I need somebody to talk louder than my damn ego. And my sponsor does that. And I got some other members that talk louder than my ego, right? And because I can't hear what I'm ready to hear until I'm ready to hear it. So I get out the way. So I bugged up on my brother. I went crazy on my brother. Pure ham, hot ass mess. Pure ham on my brother. About to fight him, and I went off on my daughter's mother because that's long short of the story. She don't act the way I think she should act. She don't do what I want her to do. Damn, I'm back in management, y'all. I'm back in management. I'm back in step 3, trying to run the show, trying to fix everybody the way they should be and place and strategically play. If you were just, that ain't how this program work, y'all. I do better under new management. God makes the best me I can be. So I get out of this way. And and the amends process in that, right? Like, I don't want to make the amends because in my mind, you still wrong, but I'm not feeling good. I'm restless, irritable, and discontent because I didn't cause harm. This ain't my norm any longer. I don't want to be the same person I used to be, right? God, take away my difficulties. That victory over them may bear witness to those that I may help. How am I helping this person? How am I helping my little brother? I might be the only big book he see. I might be the solution, and I'm messing up God's plan in order for him to see through me what this program can do. Let me get to the crib and make this amends and make this right. I haven't had time. I don't believe in making amends on the phone if it's been face to face. Like, so I'm trying to get home and right the wrong, clean my side of the street so God can use me. Gotta turn my mess into a message, y'all. When I allow him. My ego will take solution and rip it right out of my life. I got to go make this amends with my daughter's mother, right? And I don't want to make the amends because I do it anyway. I do it unwillingly. How free do I want to be? How's me feeling the way I'm feeling? How's these things working out in my life? How is that working for me? If I don't do these things, man, I'm on my way to a drink. I'm either in recovery or I'm on my way to a relapse, right? Ain't no middle of the road. It ain't no middle of the road solution. Ain't no door number two. Either I go on the best I can, blotting out the consciousness of the pain and suffering, all the stuff, the chaos I went through. Or I pick up this kit of spiritual tools laid at my feet. Ain't no door number three, y'all. So I pick up this kit of spiritual tools and I say yes. And I say, yes, I'm willing. Yes, I'll do anything. Yes, I'll do anything to keep this. Yes, I'm willing to go wherever you want me to go, Lord. And I thank him for it. I thank him for the outcome because I'm not in the outcome business. I get in my head and I project the whole story and I play the tape out in my head. And now I'm playing God again, and I done took it from God because in step 3 I give it away, then I take it back, then I get the pain, and then I return it over, right? I return it over, and like I said, I don't do this thing perfectly, man. I do this thing one day at a time. Anybody know struggling? If you here, you in your assignment. If you here, trust the process. If you knew, you don't know if you're an alcoholic, go out and do some controlled drinking. Go out and try to do some control. I did. I tried to do some controlled drinking and I tried to control and enjoy my drinking and it didn't work because I found out if I'm enjoying it, I'm out of control. If I'm controlling it, I'm not enjoying it. Right. I had to concede to my innermost self that I'm an alcoholic. Today, I know I'm an alcoholic. And I got a practical plan of action laid at my feet that I pick up. I got a practical plan of action to relieve me of the bondage of me, to relieve me of this alcoholic thinking that I suffer from. The program of Alcoholics Anonymous works if, that's a huge word, if I work it. I remember I suffered for a long time inside and outside these rooms. Until I fully surrendered, until I conceded to my innermost self, until I said, I can't, God can, I let him, until I remove myself out the equation. This is the program of attraction and subtraction. Ain't no graduation, right? Ain't no graduation around here. It's a continuation. I continue to do this thing one day at a time. I don't know how much time I got, but anybody new, come all the way in, sit all the way down, glue your butt to the seat, do some eye hustling and some ear hustling and apply these things because I found out that information without application leaves no transformation. So come around here and make means and I get connected so I stay protected so I won't get infected from the unexpected. My unexpected thinking always and always will lead me to a drink without on my own power, without God's help. I just know, y'all, this God that I serve, this great God that I serve does for me what I can't do, what I could not and would not do for myself. And I'm more than grateful. I cannot pay Alcoholics Anonymous back enough. I can't talk enough and allow God to use me enough. So every time someone asks me to share and I say yes, and God uses me, God has never let me down. God has never let me down thus far. And cause I got a faith, I came in here with the faith of a mustard seed. And today I got a faith that's so strong. If it's a bright sunny day outside and I pray for rain, I'm walking outside with my umbrella, y'all. I'm walking outside with my umbrella. I think that's all I got, y'all. I'm a real grateful alcoholic. I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank Charlotte for asking me. I want to thank Maya for your service. And with that, I think I'm gonna stick and stay. I want to say I want to come back, but I'm gonna just stick and stay. With that, I keep coming back. I love y'all.
Wow.